The outtakes. Welcome, everyone, to another live edition of the Extra Point Show. It is Wednesday, so you know we have our resident international sports correspondent coming all the way from the D to the Aura. My right hand woman, Miss Tasha T Sizzle. What's going on, T Sizzle?
Nothing. I'm just enjoying this lovely Dominican air today.
Okay, because last week it was raining, so much better for you today, huh?
Yes, the sun is shining, the sky is blue, several shades of blue, as a matter of fact. But yes, I'm enjoying the day.
Awesome. Have you got to take a ride in your new whip?
Yes, the whip comes in handy. Like I said, you really don't need a car per se here, but you do, because if you don't have an automobile, you're constantly going to have to pay for taxis and motos, which can add up over time. Basically, what I do is I go to the store a lot because we have to eat. We're still in a rental. And if I need to go to the next town over, a car just comes in handy. But for the most part, I sit here and I just, not trying to subtly brag, I sit on the beach.
We're gonna see you on one of them damn Corona commercials with Tony Romo. Do your thing. We are proud of you. We are very, very proud of you. Do your thing. Now, it's been a week since the peeps got to hear from you, and all hell has been breaking loose in the world of sports and entertainment in the meantime. So we got a jam-packed show. T Sizzle, are you ready?
Listo.
All right. Now, y'all gonna have to translate that because she's an international player all the way from the backside of the Himalayas. We're gonna start right here in the United States. Your boy, Mr. Stomp, Mr. Melodies from him, Mr. Now Behold the Lamb had to put them verbal hands on his grown-ass son. He's taking them, don't you laugh, this is serious. He's been taking, they both have been taking a beating in the media. There's been overwhelming support for Kirk Franklin from our generation and above. However, Generation Z, although I like to call them now Generation X because they'll cancel you over farting, are coming after him, as well as some of his contemporaries in the gospel world. Sasha T. Sizzle, have you heard the audio? And what are your thoughts about cussing out a grown child? You have a grown child. What are your thoughts?
I have no problem cussing out a child of any age. Let's just get that out there. Any age. I don't mind cussing a kid out. I don't mind putting my hands on a kid of any age. Period. That boy was wrong. I am totally behind Kirk Franklin in anything that he said. One thing I'm not behind him on is that apology. Stop saying stuff that you meant and then go out here and apologizing to the masses. Hey, Marcus, and apologizing to the masses. That boy was rude and he was disrespectful. Again, my daughter is 25 years old, and I remember very fondly on her 18th birthday, she was on the front porch crying because I put her out.
Not my Sasha.
Why?
My Sasha Sizzle.
Why? Because that mouth got slick. And I don't play that. As hard as parents work, as much as we go through for our children, as much as we sacrifice and do for our children, when they are disrespectful to us at any age, I don't put up with that mess. I don't condone children of any age talking to their parents any kind of way they want to. Again, we are a different generation where we said things, we got backhanded, we got mollywopped, we got pushed, we got beat, and we turned out.
No confrontation.
Right. Like there wasn't a time that I felt like I could buck up to my grandmother. It hurt that. My grandmother, not my mother, not my grandmother, I was scared to death because I knew what she did to my mother and my aunts and uncles, and she would do the same thing to me.
Right. And shouts out to my sister Stephanie Colter, who is the mother of a son now as well. And I remember some cold starebacks from her behalf when he would finish a request to do something with a question. You know, with that little question mark with the why or for what or and that look.
And I've received some of those text messages and jokes that Steph has, when she's done certain things to CP, which we laugh about it, but Steph is dead serious when she's saying some of that stuff to CP.
Now y'all know that Carter Paul Colter, that's my angel child, and as much as I can, I will put in between them two to spare his life at the expense of the rod, but not when it comes to back talking disrespect.
Right.
Not when it comes to that. That's completely unavoidable. Now kids are gonna try you. Kids are gonna be kids. I will give kids somewhat of a pass. This man is 32 years old.
Way too old. Way too old to be that, in my opinion, insensitive. You had everything given to you at whatever point. Kirk Franklin is not broke. You had resources on top of resources to deal with whatever issue you may have needed to deal with that pertained to you and your father. Right. And for you to sit up here and you're basically bitching like a child because of, things that you had between you and your father, and then you're putting it out. You're trying to make him look bad. If he got through unscathed about his porn addiction, people are not going to give a damn about this man threatening to put them paws on you.
Right. And one of the things that I found was fascinating was the fact that Kirk Franklin, like you said, he shouldn't have apologized because any grown-up is going to stand with him. But to set your father up in a manner in the council culture that we live in today, where it could have possibly ruined his career, ruined his ability to take care of his family, and it seems like take care of him too. That you would do that and like off an emotion, off a feeling. Now, I don't know what would happen if I were to ever look into Angela Phyllis Coulter's, Miss AP Coulter's eyes and tell her to STFU. You know what I'm saying? Like, picture me. Picture this. North 1988. The young Shakespeare P.O. Colter comes in from Pearl Cone Comprehensive High School. His mama tells him to do his homework. He turns around and tells her to shut the F up. The end.
Right.
The end.
There would be no promotion. There would be no graduation with honors. There would not be an extra point host, let alone a show, right. If that were to happen.
There'll be a nice cement block with my senior picture on there because I never made it to graduation. Now Marcus Jones says he keep a homie don't play that sock ready for those generations. You know what? Everybody keep talking about the Civil War that's gonna happen. It's not gonna be between the races. It's gonna be between the generations.
Right.
These old heads are gonna come out of hiding and start whooping some young ass.
They need it.
The man was 32 years old when they fought.
I don't care how old he was, but Kirk Franklin still said he was gonna put them hands on him.
Did you hear the veracity in his voice when he called him the BAN? Now, when you call somebody a BAN, you 2 seconds off that ass. Anybody call you a BAN, they ain't ready to fight you.
Because I too have called several people a BAN, and I have literally been within just all day long with my foot up a dog's ass.
Right. Now Stephanie says while we try to pull this thing back in, these ropes about to be around you next time you stuff it. Right. Like
right.
We're not having that. She also says, I'm not apologizing for handling anything with CP. Anybody coming for me about to get cussed out immediately. Now, right. She knows but she knows behind the scenes I will like do the referee. You know, when the person's had too much, I may try to go to save him and have him run off into another room. But as a grown man, I'm like, Steph, save your strength. Let me do it. I'll knock him off this porch. He be sitting there 10 toes up.
Dr. King! Oh, I thought you were somebody else.
And Marcus, who has a son that's about to go to college, he's basically grown. He said, cue the DRS track. Gangsters learn if they try me. Exactly. So Mr. Stomp, Mr. Melodies from heaven.
In that gangster lean, that gangster lean. Oh, sorry.
Now, Marcus, I didn't know you knew about the box. That's the only way you was going to hear a DRS track.
Right. This is for my homies.
All right, a pandemic ass whooping, as my sister with that gangster. You be leaning all right. You be leaning like that uncle that had too much liquor at the picnic. We digress. All right. Excuse me. Now on to some sports. Now last week you brought up an interesting fact about Russell Wilson and his wife Ciara and their ongoing quest to get the hell up out of Seattle. Well, it's like since then, it's like the Seattle Seahawks have been trolling him. Russ is literally sleepless in Seattle. Now, for those who hadn't been keeping up with this Russell Wilson saga, first he comes out after the Super Bowl and says that his offensive line is trash. He's getting hit too much. Then he comes out and says that he wants to have a say in who's the next offensive coordinator. Then he comes out and says there's too much nepotism going on in Seattle with the coach hiring his sons, and they having more input in the game plan than your all-pro Pro Bowl quarterback. As free agency started on Tuesday and it started to unfold, several big-name offensive linemen have come off the market, none of them to Seattle. They did it like this. They didn't get that man an offensive line. It's like womp, womp, womp. They didn't get this. They didn't get this man an offensive lineman worth any value. They didn't give him a receiver. They re-signed a defensive lineman to a 2-year, $14 million deal. That doesn't move the needle. They need help on the offensive line. They didn't do that. The teams that he wanted to go to last week that was last reported were Chicago. They just signed Andy Dalton. Dallas, they re-signed Dak. And New Orleans, we'll get to a little bit later in the show. They just told Chicago yesterday that they're not interested in trading Wilson at this time. Is this a situation where I'm going to show you? I can show you better than I can tell you. Are the Seahawks sending a message to one mouthy?
I can show you better than I can tell you. I do think with everything that Russ has given or brought to the Seahawks, they could have done him a little better. I do believe. But it goes back to that Super Bowl play. Like we will not forget that. They could have won that Super Bowl. They should have beat the Patriots that year.
Right.
But also, I think it's this new and improved Russ that's causing the ruckus, like we talked last week. Old Russ probably would not have said anything. The Ciara-backed Russ now is more vocal about things. And, at this point, his best option, if he wanted line and linemen and, weapons at the skill position, he should have signed with the Patriots. Belichick has just basically took a hammer to that piggy bank and just smashed that thing right open. It's like $134 million that he's already put out for, to improve them for Cam Newton.
Right. So I love where you're going with this, because if you take a Russell Wilson playing at the top of his game, still in his prime, and you add him to a Hunter Henry, a Jonnu Smith, a Kendrick Bourne, a Nelson Agholor, the retooled offensive line, you get your defensive players back from the COVID protocol where they sat out last year. Mm-hmm. New England, that would make them an immediate threat to the throne of Brady, for that matter. if you Russell and you in Seattle, bruh, you stuck there, bruh. Like, yes, you have a no trade clause, but I doubt very
which he
seriously
asked for,
that
which he asked for. With that
yes,
last contract, when he was the highest paid, he asked for that
right,
no trade clause.
right. And with that, I highly doubt that it was his idea to not go to Chicago, especially with them bringing back Allen Robinson on a 1 year deal. He still gets out of Seattle and into a major market in the United States as far as television view. The Bears have been on TV every Sunday with Russell Wilson under
Mm-hmm.
center there. They're already
Yeah,
a blue blood traditional NFL franchise in the first place. So,
right.
how do you see this? How do you see this ending in Seattle? Does he just have to shut up and play?
I think if he goes, well, if he's forced to stay with Seattle, I don't know if it'll be one of those things where he says, I'm going to sit out this season, kind of like, Deshaun Watson is, threatening to do. Well, we don't know what he's doing, but, those rumblings of him actually, maybe doing that. Or do you
Right.
just shut up and play? Do you play out your contract knowing that you've been talking wet about everybody in your organization? And would it
Yes.
kind of be like on, remember the Titans, remember got mad and they wouldn't block and, and Rev got hurt, trying to do the pitch or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, would they play for him? Would they just, excuse me, I didn't see that defender coming and let him get sacked? I mean, when you open your mouth and you start talking like that, you cause angst amongst your teammates. Because it's almost like,
Mm-hmm.
Russ, you have everything, yet you're
Mm-hmm.
still complaining. But then
Mm-hmm.
again, Seattle, you know what you need. I don't understand why they're not trying to pull the trigger on some of these deals either. Is it to, they're basically cutting off their nose to spite their face because they don't want to say,
Exactly.
okay, we're going to do what Russell is telling us to do. We're still going to do what we as an organization want to do because we don't want a player ever controlling our organization. You don't know where
Right.
these people are coming from with this.
And that's a great point because that would be the narrative. Next Wednesday, we would say Russell is getting his way in Seattle. They went out and they addressed some of the issues that he brought up. And we're talking about millionaires versus billionaires. And just like we won't have our kids talking to us any old kind of way, our owner feels the same way about a player, regardless of how good he is. And I love the fact that you brought up the football analogy because I think of any given Sunday when they were letting Jamie get killed in that rain game, and LL said, "What's the matter? You forgot your invisible juice?" They had to teach him a lesson. They had to teach him a lesson like, "Oh no, you need us. You can't do this by yourself."
Right.
Now, Marcus is saying he better fake an injury for this year. I'm always kind of like on faking an injury. That's almost like using your kid in the hospital as an excuse to not go to work. You don't want to play in that kind of fire, that kind of karma, especially in a violent sport like the NFL. But what can he do? Picture him the first day back in training camp, tipping around the corner. Hey guys, hey,
it's me.
I brought some kolaches. I brought some cinnamon donuts. Help yourself.
And some coffee in the back too. A little OJ.
Now, Kevin Washington says Russ should have handed the ball off instead of throwing it on the 5-yard line. That's true. Can you imagine what his legacy would be today if he had won back-to-back Super Bowls just by handing that ball off?
I mean,
he would be in rarefied air.
You want to call shots now. Why didn't you call an audible and make oh my God? Because I hate Brady, I hate the Patriots, I hate all of that. I mean,
him jumping up and down after that stop. He couldn't believe his eyes.
I mean, they could just like Rodgers could have called an audible in that championship. Oh my God! Like these star quarterbacks, star athletes always got all this mouth when it comes to what they want for the team. But now all of a sudden, when you're on the field, you can't think of anything to say, or you can't use your mind then.
Right. And what's so crazy about the Seattle Russ dynamic is that Seattle stood behind Russ during that time frame when the world was killing him for throwing that pick. They got rid of every defensive player that talked bad about him. Sherman, they got rid of the whole Legion of Boom. literally, to the point to where Earl Thomas was holding up his middle finger, coming off the sidelines on a cart to the coach. He was like, "You dirty bastard, you!
F you,
You
F you,
dirty."
F you.
So like, so this power struggle dynamic is fascinating to me to see how this is going to play out because the best offensive linemen in the business are out of the market now. The last big hook on the line just signed with the 49ers, and we're about to get into the 49ers in a second. As a matter of fact, no, let's go ahead and transition on into your 49ers. Now, Marcus says to put a bow on the Russ. He said, Russ is the only thing they have left. That's why they won't let him go. Oh, that's a bad reason to keep me.
Cheaper to keep.
You all I got left. You all I got left. I'm like, well, damn. You're all I need to get by, I guess. So
if
let's
you
talk
be
about
with the one you love, you gotta love the one you with.
Is that the same one who sang "Taxi" and "Take Me to the Other Side of Town"? Trying to catch his old lady cheat. Taxi, take me to the other side of
town. Just as fast as you
can. Let me digress. All right, out in the Bay Area. The Bay Area is making news on two fronts. One, speaking of offensive linemen, one of the best in the game has just signed the richest offensive lineman contract in the history of the NFL. Trent Williams, with his $138 million 6-year deal with $55 million guaranteed. Oh, you can buy a lot of tech stuff out there with that kind of bread, bruh. You out there in Techville, he's gonna be a rich for a long time. He said that's his favorite. So, shouts out to Sasha. I hope you missed the first 3 minutes of the show. Speaking of Sasha, this episode is brought to you by
May Jane's Coffee. That's MAEJANES coffee.com. Please go and support my baby girl in all her endeavors. She is Black, of course. She is a small business owner. She needs the support. Yes. You can get your Colombian, your Honduran, and your Brazilian blend coffees, fresh ground from May Jane's Coffee. Again, that's MAEJANES coffee.com. Ding.
Now, we got it up on the screen for y'all to catch a screen grab of it. I tell you each and every hump day that the best part of waking up is some May Janes in your cup. Shouts out to Sasha Denise. Now, as far as your 49ers, so you got the best offensive lineman one of the best offensive linemen in the game right now, on lock. Now, Watson, not Randy, but Deshaun Watson.
Good and terrible.
Deshaun Watson. It was reported yesterday that the Jets and Miami is no longer on his radar as far as the team he would waive his no trade clause for. Now the two teams that come up are Denver and your very own San Francisco 49ers. Tasha T Sizzle, your thoughts on Deshaun Watson wearing the red and gold?
I'm all for it. What's the use of paying an offensive lineman all that money and he doesn't have anybody to protect or block? Worth a damn. They were talking about Mitch Trubisky the other day, and my head was just like, no, because, I mean, he's better than Garoppolo, I'd say just a little bit, but I don't want either one of them. Deshaun poses a threat that you look at the quarterbacks that are in that division. Well, Russell, we don't know. Then you got, what's the little boy at Arizona? The young man, not little boy. I'm saying little because he's short.
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray. And then I don't know who the Rams have or whatever, but
they got Matthew Stafford.
Oh, that's right. Oh, anyway, so like he would be a good fit there. Like we have decent receivers there. Like I said, when you get that line string, because his problem in Houston, he couldn't stay up like that. The line, and then you also got rid of DeAndre Hopkins, which is kind of stupid to me. But if you give him a good line, give him some decent receivers, and he kind of fix his mechanics just a little bit on his throwing, he'll be good at San Francisco.
I just got 2 words for 49er fans when it comes to Deshaun Watson. And hello, AP Colter, my mama. I love her dearly. When you see her in the streets, don't give her a hug. She's still with that 6 feet social distancing. Just give her a head nod and tell her what up. 2 words, 49er fans, when you think about Deshaun Watson. Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan can give me a 100 QBR rating at the end of a season, and I'm damn near 50.
But Kyle Shanahan will also blow a damn game in the dwindling minutes. Make no difference who you have quarterback. He'll blow a game. Ask Atlanta. You can ask us against hell. Who did we just lose that damn Super Bowl to?
Kansas City. But Garoppolo had him wide open. That was a perfect play call to steal that game.
Yeah, you can put that on Jimmy G too. But again, the play calling.
I'm not going to let you slander your own team, and I hate the 49ers, and I'm taking up for them. Kyle Shanahan, the way that he calls a game, the way that he can plug and play any running back, and they're going to run for 1,500 yards. The first string, second string, third string, that's going to take a lot of pressure off of Deshaun Watson. The way that he can create on those boots and those legs, he's 10 times more athletic than Jimmy Garoppolo. And he gets out the AFC South. Let's just face it. You see the Titans act? I'm trying to get Deshaun up out the division, bro. The 49ers are way on the side of the ocean.
I just want a viable quarterback, someone who, we can root in, someone that we actually trust. I haven't had that since they, did what they did to Cap. So
right. And Kevin Washington says, can he kneel like Cap?
He probably can, but will he?
Don't, bro, because right now you got other things to worry about. Now, late last night, us insomniacs caught wind of a lawsuit, some type of allegation of sexual misconduct on behalf of Deshaun Watson from a masseuse that said that he got a little bit too. Don't do it. Don't you giggle and don't you dare snickle. From a masseuse that he got a little bit aggressive with. Now, I'm hoping it's not true for the obvious reason that that's one less woman that has to face any type of sexual assault situation. Just let's get that part out the way. I'm also hoping it's not true because Deshaun Watson is that cool cousin that we all have that's like a sibling. That you know what I'm saying? He's that cousin at the cookout. Like, not Deshaun Watson. As a 49er fan, or if thinking like a 49er front office member, would that scare you away, these allegations, especially the timing of them?
Okay, let's go back. Okay. I am really the wrong woman. Well, I'll say female. People get mad when you say female. I'm the wrong female to ask those type of questions too when it comes to allegations of sexual assault or anything like that.
Well, that's why we have you on the show.
When was this allegedly supposed to have occurred? And I find it very odd that isn't like the attorney like a neighbor of the McNairs, the son of the McNairs or something.
Oh,
the timing of it all just seems a little. Yeah, the attorney is a friend of. Is it Kyle McNair? One of them. He's a neighbor of them, and I just find the timing just a little bit fishy because you have a guy now. It's like he wants to leave, but if we get him with these trumped up charges, will he stay? And again, I'm not going to knock any woman's claim that in her opinion that she felt, she was dealt with inappropriately. That's not my place to do that. but also it seems like it's so commonplace now for women to accuse men of means or men in certain aspects of their career, whether it be political, athletically, or anything like that, that all of a sudden they start coming out of the woodworks with these allegations. She allegedly gave him a massage and he got a little too rough. Was she giving him a crafty tug? What was she doing? I mean,
stop it right now.
Was it the same masseuse that, alleged that Antonio Doodoo Brown, assaulted her? Or, I mean, and I hate to say this, like Chappelle said, Beretta did that ish. Like AB did that ish. That's just the way I feel about that. But I mean, even then with the stuff with AB, the timing of it all, I just have a problem with a lot of these allegations. You look at Governor Cuomo now, you have women coming out saying that, he did things to them. And in their mind, it probably did offend them, even though he did not mean it that way. But it happened years ago. If someone touches me or makes me feel uncomfortable, I'm going to go to the media, to the news that day. I'm not going to hold things in and say, let me find the right time to do this. Well, this happened in 2019, and now I think I'm ready to go forward with it. We don't know what happened because the only people that were there were the young lady and him. We'll never know the truth. We always say there's two sides. You got a truth, two sides to every story, and the truth lies somewhere in between. You never know, but that wouldn't. And the thing is now, with again, we were talking about this cancel culture and everything that happened with Ray Rice and everything. If you get if a female says anything against you, it's almost like they automatically take that side of the story instead of investigating first. What was the guy that went to Alabama that played for the 49ers? Oh, I can't think of his name now. He was first round. He was just in so much trouble. And then you come to find out the girl was lying.
And it cost him his draft stock. Yeah.
Well, no, he got drafted. Cost him basically his career, because I think he ended up playing with Carolina or Jacksonville or something like that. And the same thing happened where an ex or somebody showed up at a hotel room. And because she couldn't get her way, she went to the police and filed these trumped up charges against him. And then they found out that she was lying as well. See, once you get that pattern as well, if you're one that's always in trouble, they're going to be inclined to believe the other side of the story and not you anyway. And my thing is, how do you prevent yourself from being in these situations? Do you get a massage from now on with 2 or 3 people in the room? What if I want to be in there nude? Do you always have to take someone with you? If you're on a date or if you're in a room with someone, should you be recording things? Like, if anything ever happened, no, I have it on video. What happened?
Right. The thing is, when we're talking about something as serious as sexual assault, especially in today's climate, it's almost like the organizations themselves, and that's the reason why we're bringing this up, because of the timing of this and how it could affect him trying to move to another city, another team, because there could be protests, there could be all kinds of things going on, and we know that in today's climate that's going to scare a lot of people off, especially because of the cancel culture. Now, I hope that it's not true. Now, in his own rebuttal that he posted on Instagram and Twitter, he said it was a 6-figure shakedown that he didn't bend to, and so now this is coming public. I don't know. We haven't seen the lawsuit yet. Hopefully, it's not true. More so than to save a player, than for it not to be a woman that was really abused. So hopefully that wasn't the case.
To keep this from occurring, like I said, we don't know if. Like I said, I'm just the wrong female to ask when it comes to allegations like that, because I'm not easily offended. Like I said, if you're on the street and a man grabs me or gropes me, I'm either going to hit him or say, hey, I normally charge for that. I mean, that's just, how I am when it comes to things like that. I mean, I've known men to, accuse women of doing things to them. If it makes you that uncomfortable, or if you're in a situation, I don't care who's around. If it makes me that damn uncomfortable, I'm going to hit. What are you doing? I'm going to yell. I'm going to scream. That's just me. Now, like I said, a lot of people feel like, oh, I was embarrassed because he was this person, or, he was that person. I don't give a damn who you are. If you're somewhere and you grab me in a way that I think is inappropriate, I'm going to handle it at that moment.
Right.
I'm not out here to anybody.
Now everybody isn't anime Bullock like you either. You know what I'm saying? You come from a different cloth and come from a different era than some of these other kids. Now, you get to kick an Ike back and run out the limo and all of that. Now, I wanted to address this what Marcus says. Once things are actually filed, we'll be able to get more details. But see, here's the problem. Deshaun Watson don't have time to wait till things are filed. These things can be litigated over the course of years.
Right.
And with this hovering over your head, how this could affect his career or his potential move to another suitor, just the timing of this is just awful. I remember the incident with Antonio Brown. Remember when he was getting on the NFL holding it was a sexual assault allegation against him as well. By the way, we hadn't heard anything else about that. But the NFL had basically had him on the commissioner's list for almost a year. And there was no movement in the litigations of the case. So Brown and his agent was like, okay, NFL, you'll just hold me here forever? What are we going to do here? They wound up giving him an 8-game suspension. And to my knowledge, we haven't heard any public record of how that was resolved or if it's been resolved. So for a young quarterback in the prime of his career, ready to make one of the biggest decisions of his professional career, again, like Stephanie says, I really hope it's not for both parties. Hopefully this was just a money shakedown and they figure that is a way. If you want to take somebody down, that is the way. However, if the young lady is telling the truth, you have to take that book and go on and throw it at Deshaun. As much as I would hate to see him do that, you're going to have to take the Encyclopedia Britannica and crack it over his dome, because we just can't allow that. I got a mother watching. I got a sister watching.
You can't allow it. If you are, again, and that goes, if you're in a position of power, if you feel like, oh, I can do these things to this woman because she's a trick, she's a slut, she's a hoe, she's a freak or whatever, then you're also wrong too. Now, I'm not going to just pile up on it being the woman's responsibility, but men also need to learn to keep their damn hands to themselves.
Really though, it's not $1 million in the briefcase. Just fall back, bro. Like, it's okay. So again, what we're discussing here, in case you just kind of just breeze through it and catch it halfway through, we're not professing guilt or innocence on either side. We're talking about this in the sports realm as the timing of this, how it can affect San Francisco or another potential suitor trying to vie for his services, because it's going to cost a lot to get Deshaun Watson. And would you be willing to give up 3 number 1 picks or 2 number 1s and 2 number 2s?
If you think he's going to be on the list where he can't play, like you're paying somebody money just to sit there, and then your team has lost the first 8 games. Okay, let's say the team went 4-4 in those 8 games that you were sitting out, and you've been cold, you're rusty, your timing is off, and then they expect you to come in and basically win the last 8 games to get into the playoffs.
It would be hard for me as a general manager to give up that type of capital with this out. On the strength that if it's true and you're going to have to do some time, or you're going to get in trouble, or we're going to have to put you on the commissioner's list, or you're going to miss half the season, I can't give you my draft capital, because by the time you spend all of that up, I'll be out of a job. So, like, this is a tricky situation to be in.
Whether it's proven, whether he's exonerated, whether it's proved, that nothing happened, they're still going to look at him with the side eye. Right. Because of the nature of the allegation. Right. Do we want this predator or this potential sexual predator being part of our organization? What if he comes here and does great things and he wins us a Super Bowl or he becomes an MVP, and we have to promote that? And then out there in California, where it's very liberal, that's people with picket signs, women out there waving their bras. That's just a lot to deal with.
Right. And especially if you're looking at a place even like Texas that's very
Yeah.
conservative, you can have the very same thing happen on the opposite spectrum. We don't want that bum representing us, blah, blah, blah. Like, so it's just a real tricky situation. And again, like my sister says, and she has a lot of good comments about the sexual abuse and relationships between men and women in the comments. You can feel free to scroll up and check those out. But we're going to keep pushing with the sports, but that's some good back and forth. I really wanted to get your thoughts on that because of your candidness. I know that you weren't going to hold back, and you didn't, and that was a good job by you. Now, you also didn't hold back earlier in the week when I was talking about Drew Brees retiring. You jumped right in the comments, said, "What took you so long, bro?" I think your actual quote was about damn time. I think it was your actual quote.
It was like I said, he should have been gone 2 years ago or something to that effect.
Yes. Now that he is gone, now that he's in the rearview mirror, Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston have been restructured and re-signed to be in New Orleans. Oh my God. For the eyes. The eyes. Who will be the starting quarterback in New Orleans come week one? Who should be the starting quarterback in New Orleans come week one?
First of all, the Saints got to be one of the most monkeyiest organizations at this point due to that contract that they gave to Taysom Hill. First of all, the fact they even have Taysom Hill still on a roster. They gave him that contract extension. Was it like 4 years? But the years are voidable. Like,
yes, all of it, just about.
No, not just about. All of them are voidable. Okay, Steph, we see your fleur-de-lis up there. We see them, but it puzzles me. It's almost like they had Drew Brees and they just never thought about getting a backup plan. Like they thought Drew Brees was going to play forever. They never got a viable backup plan. When they had old Tadaro, Teddy Bridgewater, who I call Tadaro, they had him, but then they let him go to the Panthers. Why? Because at that time they wanted Taysom Hill. They wanted old crab legs, Jameis Winston. I mean, people are down on Jameis Winston a lot, but he is a better quarterback than Taysom Hill. And why they are not just going ahead and saying, let's give Jameis some money, let's go ahead and just put him in as the starter, it puzzles me. I mean, they could be waiting like for Russell Wilson because that was kind of one of the destinations that was on Russell's list as well, too. But why are you wasting your time with Taysom Hill? There are so many other quarterbacks that could be backups because he's not a starter. I don't give a damn what scenario you put him under. He's not a starter. Why are you wasting your money and time and effort on him? Do you not like Jameis that much? I mean, Jameis is almost kind of becoming like Jacoby Brissett to me. The Colts could not wait to get that boy up out of the paint when they put, what's his name? But all the kids that came from San Diego.
Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers came. They immediately put Jacoby on the bench. Now Jacoby he just signed with the Dolphins, and he's like a backup to Tua, which, okay, I'm good with, them giving Tua a shot or what have you. But what is it about them not giving certain quarterbacks an opportunity when you know they're better than what you currently have?
I want to keep it real when I say this. I really am. Because I think this followed Jameis Winston from his days at Florida State. I think that people look at him as dumb and a scoundrel.
And out of shape.
Out of shape, like not committed, like he's just happened to be talented in football. He was on a renegade roster in Florida State. He was protected by the school, at least that was the national narrative. He was protected. Remember in that Rose Bowl game, the whole country was rooting for Marcus Mariota and the Oregon Ducks to knock them off their perch.
Not me.
They were celebrating in the streets. But with all of that said, put some respect on this man's name. There's only 8 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL that's thrown for 5,000 yards in a season. And some of the names on that list is not Joe Montana, it's not Dan Marino. Jameis Winston is on that list. And we're going to have to put some respect on that man's name. Now, you got a 5,000-yard passer on your roster making the veterans minimum, and you're trying to bring in this utility creator player on Madden that can do the cubic shuffle, they can do swing passes, they can return punts and kicks. Do you want Tim Tebow or do you want to win? Now, Taysom Hill has his advantages as far as matchups, but that only works so far. It's almost like with the running quarterback. If the running quarterback does not evolve, he becomes extinct in the NFL. The ones who just run, you have to be able to drop back, process defenses, throw the ball, read coverages. He doesn't do that at all. No. I've never seen him run a 2-minute drill.
I have not seen Taysom Hill do anything but get lucky wins. Especially when they played Denver, and Denver had like the 8th string quarterback that they got from a Home Depot.
He's still out on the apron.
Oh, you mean I gotta take this off? Oh, okay.
Hold his coach.
Arthur Blank is not owner of this team. Oh, okay. I mean, but they keep giving him opportunity upon opportunity to succeed when he's not good.
He's not. And according to Sean Payton, today, that's a competition that's going through OTAs, mini camp, training camp, and on to the regular season. I'm like, Jameis Winston, if you can't beat out Taysom Hill, it's time to go to the CFL.
Right.
It's time to roll to Canada, bro. Because, come on now, that offense is an efficient passing offense designed on scheming receivers open and reading coverages, not on, trick plays and all that kind of stuff. So that'll be interesting to see. Now, it is March Madness. We have the NCAA tournament starting tomorrow with the playing games. Now everybody knows we're devoted and loving Michigan fans. Go Blue, and we hit a bit of a slide, although we're still the number 1 seed in our region, but we lost Isaiah Livers, our senior leader, one of our go-to guys, the one who's played in a Final Four, the one who's played in a national championship game. T Sizzle, has your expectations for us changed since the Livers injury? And what do you think we're going to get done in this tournament?
Well, remember, I told you from the beginning, I did not think Michigan would win it all, even though my sheet of integrity says otherwise. I always put Michigan as the champion, and then I have my real one.
And then you have your real one. That hurts as a Michigan fan.
And I have my real one. I think not having Livers is going to affect us more than we think. It really depends on how the matchups fall. If we have some upsets in the early rounds or anything like that. What's the freshman guy that's really good? That's
Hunter Dickinson.
Yeah. Because he, they say you can't win, with just having a big man. I mean, the Hoyas won back in the day with Patrick Ewing as the star player, but Patrick also had other players around him.
That was a loaded team.
Yes. I mean, we haven't won since what was that, 89 with Glenn Rice. Technically, we know when we won because that was all ball. Haven't been to, a Final Four where we have people thought we actually had a shot to win since 91, 92, 93, the Fab Five era. It will be difficult, but if you have other players to step up into that leader role, I think we can make it far. Like I said, it's still kind of up in the air about how far I really think they're going to go, because I do have to sit down. I have not done my brackets yet. I haven't either. And, and redo the brackets, since Mike broke it down for us last Friday, that made me kind of sit back and think. I said, okay, I'm going to actually take my time when filling it out and not just put Michigan in as the champ and go all the way down. I'm going to have a
right, and then go out from there.
Right. I'm going to look at the matchups and make me a real bracket this. I always do put time into my bracket, but I kind of go with, okay, they've been here before, or I'm going to actually look at the spread. I'm going to actually look at things like that to really see where I think Michigan can end up. And speaking of that, like, why is it that Gonzaga is everybody's great white hype now? Like, what is it about? I mean, you think about, I didn't know anything about Gonzaga other than John Stockton. That's the only thing I knew. And they do play games, but who's up to watch those games at Mountain Times?
This is what I'm going to tell you about Gonzaga and people's quest to crown them with their first championship ever, even though they've been a number one seed like 10 times in the last 15 years.
And they lost in 17 to, was it Carolina? Did they lose?
It was Carolina.
Okay.
The game was like 27-26. It was one of the worst offensive national championship games ever. But this is what I don't like about the whole deal with Gonzaga this year. They're in a bracket to where they've already played and beaten the 2 seed, the 3 seed, and the 4 seed in their own region. With 68 teams in the field, you could not switch that around to have them play some teams they haven't faced yet and don't have bills on.
They don't have a Duke. They don't have a Kentucky. They don't have the traditional blue bloods to put in those favorable bracket positions. Gonzaga is their new darling since the traditional people are not there.
Now, Langston says, man, to me, it's not interesting. COVID is like the YMCA tournament with the red, green, and blue teams. Remember that? You have to take them things off and the whole room be stinking with them little thinly veiled. But you know what, though? I'm glad you brought up the absence of Duke and Kentucky. Because if you go and look at the schedule, like the way these teams, the games break out on national TV, Michigan is in the Saturday 2 p.m. slot. So that is the new face of the tournament that they want in those primetime games, because that's on CBS. No cable. Everybody can find that station. And at 2 o'clock on a Saturday, that's one of your primetime matchups. So all odds are going to be on Michigan one way or the other. We shall see. I'm nervous without Livers. The second round potential matchup between LSU and St. Bonaventure, I think either one of those teams can give us problems if we're not shooting well.
Yeah, especially it's like people want to sleep on schools like St. Bonaventure and things like that. St. Bonaventure could really cause a problem.
They won their regular season championship and the conference tourney championship. They're not to be played around with.
Yeah.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, then y'all knew when it was Wednesday, T Sizzle was gonna come on here and throw fire flames and burn down the whole set. I'm over here sweating, and now Langston said, "Why y'all not picking Bama? Because they in our bracket. Down goes Bama, damn it! Down goes Bama.
Fold tide fold.
Fold tide fold. Damn it. On behalf. This has been a blast. On behalf of Tasha T Sizzle, you want to go ahead and say shouts out to the peeps?
Shouts out to everyone who constantly keeps me entertained, whether it's on Instagram, sending me text messages, putting stuff on Facebook, and basically everyone who allows me just to be me, the fool that I am, the non-apologetic person that I have pretty much always been my whole life, and you people accept me for whatever reason. And I don't know why.
You are the fat meat in our greens.
I'm the turban to your bonnet. I told you this Dominican humidity does not bode well for a sister who has natural hair that is of a more coarser texture than most.
No. With all those pictures you be posting from the island, we're not feeling sorry for you at all. Especially when we got to get out here and hit this concrete jungle. So, on behalf of Tasha T Sizzle, your boy Mr. P.L. Colter, man, I hope the week flies by so we can go ahead and jump to next Wednesday's show. This your boy Mr. P.L. Colter, Tasha T Sizzle. We out of here.